Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. September 17th, 1938. Dialog 515. A disciple asked, in the explanation given yesterday, it is said that the removal of avarana results in the annihilation of the karana sharira. That is clear, but how is the gross body considered to fall off too? Sri Bhagavan answered, the vasanas are of two kinds, bandha hetu and bhoga hetu. The jnani has transcended the ego and therefore all the causes of bondage are inoperative. Bandha hetu is thus at an end, and prarabdha past karma remains as bhoga vasana to give enjoyment only. Therefore it is said that the sukshma sharira alone survives. Jnana Kaivalya says, therefore it is said that the sukshma sharira alone survives jnana. Kaivalya says that sanchita karma, stored karma, is at an end simultaneously with the rise of jnana. That agami, karma now collecting, is no longer operative owing to the absence of the sense of bondage, and that prarabdha will be exhausted by enjoyment bhoga only. Thus the last one will end in the course of time, and then the gross body also falls away with it. Sharira traya, the three bodies, and karma, the three karmas, are mere phases meant for the delectation of debaters. A jnani is not affected by any of them. An aspirant is instructed to find out who he is. If he does so, he will take no interest in discussing such matters as the above. Find the self and rest in peace. The question raised was about karma and the removal of the veil of ignorance. Sri Bhagavan explained, the vasanas, that is the tendencies, are of two kinds, causing bondage and giving enjoyment. The jnani has transcended the ego, and therefore all the causes of bondage are inoperative. To be free of bondage, one must be free of the ego notion. Though it says the causes of bondage are inoperative to him, really there is no such thing as bondage, for the ego is non-existent. Bondage is, or bandha hetu, is thus at an end, and prarabdha, past karma, remains as to give enjoyment only. This is said from the perspective of the aspirant. For whom would prarabdha karma remain? For whom is karma even now? It is ascribed to the physical body, yet the physical body does not transmigrate. It is thus ascribed to the mind. But if the karma is to the mind, why should it be played out on the terms of the body? The answer can only be that the body and the world, which are necessary for the display of karma and bondage, are themselves nothing but projections of the mind. Then who has the karma? Karma can be explained in a variety of ways, like as in being threefold in nature, etc. But does it actually exist? The whole explanation is given here with concession to the understanding of the aspirant that retains the notion of individuality. Upon inquiry as to the nature of that individual, the individuality and that which is attributed to him in the form of karma, bondage, etc., cease to exist. So he said, the Shariratraya, the three bodies, and Karmatraya, the three karmas, are mere phrases meant for the delectation of debaters. This is for those who approach such matters purely intellectually. It's far better, is it, to inquire and know the truth. Ajnani is not affected by any of them because they are unreal and he does not retain individuality. An aspirant is instructed to find who he is. If he does so, he will take no interest in discussing such matters as the above. Find the self and rest in peace. September 22nd, 1938. A question arose if the world is real or unreal, since it is claimed to be both by the Advaitins themselves. Sri Bhagavan said, that it is unreal if viewed as apart from the self, and real if viewed as the self. Is the world real or unreal? Or a combination of both? What is meant by real and what is understood as unreal? The real is that which exists, and that which exists always exists. What is the nature of the world then? Is the world unreal? Unreal means it does not exist. Does it not exist? Or is it that the world is both real and unreal? That combination can never actually exist, though. And the combination or belief in such is the very definition of ignorance, the confusion or connection of real and unreal. So is the world real or unreal? He said it is unreal if viewed apart from the self. The self is uncreated existence. What kind of world would that be? From the perspective of the individual or ego, there is the ignorant views of reality and unreality. For whom is the world? if there is even the slightest notion of the world existing, such is conceived from the standpoint of ignorance. If the world is viewed as real, then it is only of a nature of pure existence, consciousness, bliss, and not really a world at all. If it is viewed as if it were real, such is illusion only, and not the nature of existence. To fully understand the meaning of unreal and real and its relation to the world, you can reflect on what is said in the quintessence of true being. September 25th, 1938. Dialog 517. There was some reference of two slokas in Yoga Vasishta, where Spiritism in Mleccha Desha is mentioned. Mr. McIver said that black magic is more prevalent in the West than is ordinarily known to the observer. The writer then remembered how Mr. Paul Brunton had once said that he actually feared a woman for her association with black magic. Sri Bhagavan asked if the gentleman had read Devi Kolotaram. He then said that black magic is condemned there. He also added that by such practices one compasses one's own ruin. Avidya, ignorance, is itself bad and makes one commit suicide. Why should black magic be also added to it? The questioner then said, what is the pratikriya or remedy open to the victim? What is the remedy open to the victim of black magic? Bhagavan replied, bhakti, devotion to God. The questioner said, non-resistance seems to be the only remedy for all kinds of evil, such as slander. Sri Bhagavan replied, quite so. If one abuses another or injures him, the remedy does not lie in retort or resistance. Simply keep quiet. This quiet will bring peace to the injured, but make the offender restless until he is driven to admit his error to the injured party. This black magic is said to have been used even against the greatest saints in India since time immemorial. The Tapasvis of Daruka forest used it against Shiva himself. Then the conversation turned on Brahmaloka. Sri Bhagavan said, Brahmaloka is the same as Atmaloka. Again, Brahmaiva Loka, Brahmaloka. Brahman is himself the region, and Brahman is Atma. So Brahmaloka is only the self. Loka, Aloka are both synonymous. It is the same. It is the same as, can you read the Tamil for me?
Andamilla kannu.
Enuladu narpadu. Lokate iti loka. That which is seen is loka. Speaking of what the questioner was asking concerning so-called black magic, the answer to it is to continue one's devotion to God, bhakti, and take no mind of it whatsoever. If one abuses another or injures him, the remedy does not lie in retort or resistance. Simply keep quiet. This quiet will bring peace to the injured, but make the offender restless until he is driven to admit his error to the injured party. Remaining quiet means remaining without the ego notion. This will bring peace to your mind if you've been injured. This may make the offender restless until he is driven to admit his error to the injured party. This is one approach, and is undoubtedly a wise one. However, one should consider other situations, such as with Krishna's instruction to Arjuna. That also is right. In the Gita, Arjuna is told by Krishna to fight, and it's for a righteous cause. Here it is said one just keep quiet. That is also a righteous purpose. As far as whether or not the offender becomes restless by that quiet until he admits his own error. It is true according to the temperament of the wrongdoer. It is also quite evident that there are some who engage in dense delusion and they don't have they're not turned from, they do not turn away from the wrongdoing. All this depends on the temperament of those who are involved in such. The year of this dialogue is 1938. What was being perpetrated then and shortly thereafter, even worldwide, would not necessarily be stopped by remaining quiet. The quietude recommended, therefore, should be always taken inwardly. And the question of what is necessary in righteous action can rest upon that. He slays not, nor is he slain himself. This is what the Gita says. Sri Bhagavan continued, this black magic is said to have been used even against the greatest saints in India since time immemorial. The Tapasvis of the Aruka forest used it against Shiva himself. Examples of such are ascribed to, or described as belonging to, black magic may be otherwise understood in the Shankar's Digvijayam, the biography of Adi Shankaracharya. He is afflicted with a disease at one point that is ascribed to the doings of black magic of someone. In the story, he does get healed though, and the black magic was of no final avail. Similarly is it with Padmapada, his disciple. It is ascribed to black magic, but it resembles more an unsuccessful attempt at a homicide. In that latter case, his mind became dull, and the book that he had composed, elucidating the non-dual truth, was destroyed by the perpetrator. But Shankar came to the rescue and remembered the first 5 sections of the book that Padmapada had written, and so it was written down again and was restored. Finally, the conversation turned on Brahmaloka. This was taken up last time. What is to be understood is Brahmaloka is the state of the self as it is. Brahman is Atma, the self. So Brahmaloka, the state of being Brahman, is only the self. The meaning of Loka is that which is seen, is Loka. Who is the seer? September 27th, 1938. Talk 518. Mr. V. Gupta, a Telugu Pandit, is on a visit here. Sri Bhagavan said in the course of conversation, Aham Kriti, the ego, is not the same as Aham, I. The latter is the supreme reality, whereas the former is the ego. It is to be overcome before the truth is realized. The Supreme Being is unmanifest, and the first sign of manifestation is Aham Sphurana, light of I. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, he became I, named. That is the original name of the reality. The Pandit asked about the operation of grace. Is it the mind of the Guru acting on the mind of the disciple, or is anything different? Sri Bhagavan replied, the highest form of grace is silence, Mouna. It is also the highest upadesa. The disciple asked, Vivekananda has also said that silence is the loudest form of prayer. Sri Bhagavan replied, it is so for the seeker silence. Guru silence is the loudest upadesa. It is also grace in its highest form. All other dikshas, initiations, example sparsha, touch, chakshush, eye, are derived from Mouna, silence. They are therefore secondary. Mouna is the primary form. If the Guru is silent, the seeker's mind gets purified by itself. The disciple said, is it proper that one prays to God or Guru when one is afflicted by worldly ills? Sri Bhagavan replied simply, undoubtedly. So Sri Bhagavan said, the ego is not the same as aham, I. The latter, that is to say I, pure I in itself, is the supreme reality, whereas the former, the ego, well, it just is the ego, it's not the truth. It is to be overcome before the truth is realized. Therefore, the whole purpose and direction of spiritual practice is aimed at the destruction of the ego notion. With the destruction of the ego notion, no form of bondage and no other form of ignorance can carry on. The Supreme Being is unmanifest. That is formless and undifferentiated. And the first sign of manifestation is Aham Sphurana, light of I. The Upanishad says, he became I, named. That is, the original name of the reality is I. If you know the nature of I within yourself, you know reality. You know Brahman. And you yourself are that reality, are the Brahman. The next question was, is it the mind of the Guru acting on the mind of the disciple or anything different? It referring to grace. And Sri Bhagavan explained, the highest form of grace is silence. It is also the highest upadesa, or spiritual instruction. Silence is the egoless nature, the egoless state. It is itself the inconceivable spiritual instruction. When asked about Vivekananda's description of silence as being the loudest form of prayer, Sri Bhagavan said, it is so for the seeker's silence. That is, it is in a context of prayer. The Guru's silence, though, is of a different kind. It is the loudest upadesa, transcendent of words, transcendent of thought, transcendent of prayer, transcendent of all else. Silence is the initiation. That is in which one gains an intimate knowledge of the truth. All other forms of initiation, such as by touch, by the eye, physical eye, are derived from Mouna, silence. Silence is the original. Silence is born both before and after all other forms. They are therefore secondary. Mouna, silence, is the primary form. In that silence, the truth shines, worldless, illusionless, worldless, karmaless. If the Guru is silent, it means it. If the Guru is silent, that means he is what he knows. The seeker's mind gets purified by itself. Such purification is simply the elimination of ignorance. The final question was, is it proper that one prays to God or Guru when one is afflicted by worldly ills? The Maharshi's answer, undoubtedly. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.